All the very best to you from my house to yours. God bless you. I've got a bowl, a towel, and I've got a pitcher of water. And I've got a question. What was it like when Jesus chose on the night before his own crucifixion to wash the feet of his followers? When he took their grimy feet in his holy hands and washed away the dirt and washed away the mud. What does that have to say to us about what Christ will do for us and what we can then in turn do for others? If you have about 8 minutes, I think it's worth the time. If you don't have the time, please just post your prayer needs before you slip out. In John chapter 13, Jesus washes the disciples' feet. Now, it's not easy watching Jesus wash these feet. I mean, to see the hands of God massaging the toes of men it's just not right. It's not right. The disciples should be washing his feet. Nathanael should pour the water. Andrew should pick up the towel. Peter should get down on his knees and place feet in the basin. But no one does. Rather than serve him, you know what they do? They argue. They argue over which one is the greatest. I wonder what disappointment their words must have brought to the heart of Christ. To overhear them saying, "Oh, I'm the number one apostle." The other one saying, "Oh, no, I'm much more spiritual than you are." "You guys are crazy," spoke up someone else. "I brought more people to hear Christ than anyone else, than both of you combined." And as they argue, the basin sits in the corner untouched, and the towel lies on the floor unused, and the servant's clothing hangs on the hook on the wall unworn. No one moves. No one moves except Jesus. And as they bicker, he stands. But he doesn't speak. He removes his robe and he takes the servant's wrap off the wall. And taking the pitcher, he pours the water into the basin. And he kneels. He kneels before them with the basin on the floor and the sponge in his hand. And he begins to wash. And the towel that covers his waist is also the towel that soon dries their feet. Now it's not right. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's not enough that these hands will be pierced. In the morning, must he scrub their grime tonight? And the disciples, I mean, do they really deserve to have their feet washed? Their affections have waned so often. Their loyalties have wavered so many times. Don't wash their feet, Jesus, we want to say. Tell them to wash yours. That's right. And that's what we want to say. Why? Because of the injustice? Well, in part. But there's something else. There's something else. Do we object because we know how hard it is to wash someone's feet ourselves? Don't we have some people in our lives that remind us of the disciples? Double-tongued, promise breakers, fair weather friends, here one day, gone the next. What they said and what they did are two entirely different things. Oh, maybe they didn't leave you at the cross, but maybe they left you at the altar, or maybe they left you with the kids, or maybe they left you alone with the bills, maybe they left you in the cold and the vows were forgotten, the contract was abandoned, and logic says, put up your fists. Jesus says, no, fill up the basin. Logic says, just bloody his nose. Jesus says, no, wash his feet. Logic says, well, she doesn't deserve it. And Jesus says, you're right. But you don't either. I'm not sure how God can be so kind to us, but he is. He kneels before us, before you and me, and he takes our feet in his hands and he washes them. Please understand that we are in this story, and that in washing the disciples' feet, Jesus is washing ours. Yes, you and I are in the upper room with Christ. We're at the table, and that's us being cleansed. In our case, not from dirt on our feet, but from sin in our soul. And the cleansing is not just a gesture, it's a necessity. Jesus soon says, after washing their feet, he says, if I don't wash your feet, you're not one of my people. That's in John 13 and verse 8. So he requires us to let him wash our feet. And when we place our feet in the basin of Christ, he's washing away our sin, washing away the filthiest parts of our lives. And that is a blessing for sure, but it's a requirement to be a part of the family of God, that we allow his grace to wash over us, not just once, but always, cleansing us. We stand beneath the waterfall of his mercy. And actually, everywhere we go, we leave wet footprints because we are cleansed by the cleansing flow of his grace. Now, it's really hard to wash the feet of those who have hurt us. But I would suggest to you that it's really impossible to do so if we don't let Christ wash us first. The secret of forgiving others is letting Christ forgive you first. The secret of forgiving others is letting Christ forgive you first. So let him wash your feet. Just let him. And by letting him wash your feet, you open the door to the possibility of being able to wash the feet of someone else. Forgiveness is not easy. I certainly don't mean to minimize it or make it sound like it is. It, for many people, is the most challenging step of discipleship. But it's possible. It's possible. Besides, look at your feet. Look what Christ has done for you. Couldn't you at least attempt to offer the same to someone else?